Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls from around the world. This is the MLE Season 12 Draft. I am your happy-go-lucky hooligan host, Captain at Soka, and I am not joined in the booth alone. I was supposed to have a good friend of mine, Kigabai, here, but unfortunately, they had a family emergency and were not able to attend. But filling in for them and in their shoes and in their place is the one and only Maple.
I am the Terminator, but I wish I could be as good of a caster as Maple. He is top of the class, but I'm just glad to be here. I'm excited to get Master League started.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why I thought it was Maple. I could have swore I heard Maple's voice earlier. But regardless, we're going to be getting underway. And we have now, for the Minor League Esports Season 12 draft, we're moving on from the Champions League up into the Masters League. So things are about to get a little bit, I don't want to say more interesting, but they're about to get a little bit interesting as we see, some of these higher ranked players with a little bit more salary increases here.
Yeah. But we got the first pick, so let's get it underway. The Aviators traded up to this pick. The pick is in, and they are taking Climax Games 31.
Climax Games 31. And again, everybody wants to be the first pick to go in the draft, of course. But let's take a look at Climax right here. Just going first off, not seeing really much from them on the stat-wise as far as scrims are concerned. But still, though, just seeing them go first in the Masters League, you already got to know they made one heck of an impression going forward for them to be the first pick of the draft.
Yeah, and I know a couple of teams that wanted this player. Very good selection. But we have our second pick. This one was by the Wolves, and they are taking, is that Haim Game.
Good old Haim Game. Now, this is not a player that I'm personally familiar with. However, it's really those players that could be the most dangerous because, again, we haven't seen much from them, but they could just be one of those players that have the unlimited amount of potential, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they develop going into this team for the Wolves. Clearly, they made an impression on the Wolves, so this player is going to be one to watch out for.
Oh, for sure, and it's a great player indeed, but we are on to... we're not on to our third pick yet, but Haim Game, great player, very solid on the sticks. Going to be a great pickup here for the Wolves going forward.
And I cannot wait to get underway for the third pick. But guess what? The third pick for the MLE Season 12 draft, the Ducks will choose Luck.
Luck, great player for the Ducks. You don't get much better than this player. And it's going to be very good going forward. Had only a 2.51 MVPR average during scrims, but didn't play a ton of games, only played in standard. So I'm excited to see whether this is going to be a two-way player and also playing doubles as well.
Yeah, but another thing you have to look out for is that we're looking at that saves percentage that they're pulling down. So again, love watching the defensive players. But guess what? We have the fourth pick in the MLE Season 12 draft for the Comets. They choose Demonic Wool.
And this is a player that knows how to light up the scoreboard. A 5.6 essentially MVPR in twos, a 16 salary. Demonic Wool is a great pickup here for the Comets.
It's not surprising why they got picked so early. Look at that 73.33 win percentage in twos and still maintaining the 50% win percentage in threes. It's one of those double threat players, and clearly they are mechanically gifted just seeing how they can play in the isolated plays. So again, I'm not surprised they went this early on into the draft.
Agreed. We have our next pick, this one by the Dodgers, and they went all in they went all in into ML. Who's pairing with Sleegy? It's going to be Serial Killer.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, this player is definitely one that I am familiar with. I remember seeing Serial Killer and making so many jokes and puns with this player. Who can help? But with a 16 salary here, they have a 75% win percentage in threes, which is the third best in this Masters League. So definitely a player to be looking out for. But next, with the sixth pick in the MLE Season 12 draft, the Bulls pick Nate.
Nate, what a solid player. He is putting up great numbers, scoring 2 goals a game in scrims, put on a lot of shots. It's absolutely great pick here.
Yes, and going forward, looks like the 7th pick in the MLE Season 12 draft will be a retention. So we're just waiting to get confirmation on the next pick coming up, which should be the 8th pick in the draft. But again, just going back, looking at the last pick that we just saw for Nate, again, a very nice pickup coming from them. Just looking at the stat line, really, we don't see much going on for threes there. There are twos only, which is the first time I've seen so far where a player specified that they only played one specific game mode. So that's an interesting pickup and just an interesting play style in general, not to play threes at all.
Yeah, it really is. So we're going to have to see whether this works out for them. Only selecting yourself to one mode, especially choosing someone this early for that, may be costly, but they may be going all in one mode and try to just win the championship in that. But our next pick is in, and the Spartans are choosing Latte.
Yeah, and again, this is just one of those players that I almost messed up the names. I almost call them Lat. But it's Latte. And again, a very well-rounded player, prefers the threes games with a salary of 16 and a 51.79 win percentage there, and a pretty impressive MVPR rating, if I do say so myself. And some, of course, we're seeing them a little bit on the offense. So again, one of those double threat players you're going to have to look out for, and a very good pickup, this early in the draft for B++ and the Spartans. And then the 9th pick in the Season 12 draft is going to be a retention as well. So we're going to see how the next pick, which will be pick number 10, picks up in just a little bit as we are getting ready to get confirmation for the number 10 pick in the MLE Season 12 draft coming from the Express.
My Express have taken a lot of time to try to figure out which players they want with their 2 first-round picks, and the person that they selected is a very good player indeed. Just waiting on the confirmation that this pick's all good to go, and then we will share it with you. Kopex did a lot of background information in this player, found him to be good. So with the number 10 pick, the Express have taken Pooby.
And again, like Pooby 3, Pooby. Fantastic pickup there. And look at the win percentage coming from Pooby in the 2v2 game with a 77.27 win percentage and 2 goals per game. Watch out, because this player can pass and shoot.
Yeah, they have over an assist per game too, and even more assists per game in standards. The standards game they played, just an incredible player that knows how to get a lot of influence into the game, and that's why this is going to be a great pick for Express. We have our next pick by the Sharks, number 11, is going to be J-Dubs.
Yeah, J-Dubs. Now, that is a name that is definitely familiar. Seen them around the Masters League a good bit, and for good reason. The 2v2 game for J-Dubs, the 12th highest in the league with 80% win percentile. That is absolutely Nutter Butters.
Absolutely, indeed. The Sharks got a really good player in this position. You want players that, especially this high in the draft, you hope that a player like this still falls to you, because this player definitely could have been taken top 10. J-Dubs was lucky enough to fall, so they are totally okay with it.
100%. And again, J-Dubs is a player I expected to go top in the draft with a 16.5 salary. And then not only that, but if you're looking at what they can do in threes, we already know they're a force to be reckoned with in twos. But you go to the threes side of the game, and they're holding down a pretty high percentile for both goals and shots. So the shot percentage is going to be high. They have a 1.25 goals per game, really, and then for the shots per game, it's a 3.40. So that's nearly 50% shot percentage, which again is absolutely phenomenal in Rocket League. That shot percentile is going to be something to be looking out for as we move on into the 12th season of MLE, especially now that we're incorporating the 3v3.
Absolutely. And speaking of incorporated, we got to incorporate the Rhinos' next pick into this draft. The Rhinos are going to be taking ISO.
And now let's take a look at ISO real quick, shall we? ISO, again, another 16.5, going a good bit early here. Again, a nice player to look at, and very impressive here. Just going from the 3v3 perspective, is pulling down, again, a nice percentage of shots and goals, nearly half, again, almost approaching that 50 percentile per shot. So we're seeing a lot more shot accuracy the further we go up.
Oh, for sure. And this is a very good pick. I know that the Rhinos are really happy that ISO was able to fall to them. Looks like ISO will play both 2s and 3s, so a solid pickup for them and someone that they know can give them consistent deliveries night in and night out.
Yep, absolutely. And then now, moving forward with the 13th pick of the MLE Season 12 draft, the Blizzard will choose Good Job Owen.
Yeah, our next pick will be Good Job Owen. Just waiting on the confirmation to put that up on our screen by Sleeky. But Good Job Owen is going to be a solid pickup for the Blizzard. Scores a lot, plays a lot of games. We'll play both 2s and 3s, so we'll be able to put up stats in both modes, and that's exactly what you need.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at the stats on the 2 side, just looking at Good Job Owen. They're doing pretty well in the saves department as well as MVPR, which is really nice to see because we don't see a lot of the keepers or the anchor players really showing off in the MVP spot. So it's really nice to see a defensive player up there getting some MVPs.
Yeah, and they have a lot of assists per game too. Good Job Owen, averaging over 0.8 assists per game. You need a person that's willing to pass in Master League, and you're going to get that with Good Job Owen. But I think our next pick is going to make a lot of people happy. Just waiting on it to be confirmed. And okay, actually, we are good to go. Our next pick in the MLE draft, I'm from Council, it's Tai Tai.
Yep, and Tai is going to be going to the Bears, and a wonderful pickup for the Bears. Like you said, everybody was waiting for this one, and it's the Bears that come through to get the claim on Tai. Look at Tai right here with a 2v2, 50% win percentile, and 6th in the league for shots taken. That is going to be a dangerous player indeed, and a pretty good fit for the Bears roster.
For sure. At number 15, the Pirates decided to retain Vert, who is a 15.5 salary, a good retention from them as they look to continue on their success in the higher leagues. It looks like they're really going in Master and Premier League, so hopefully they could keep that going.
Yes, and we're waiting for confirmation in the 16th pick of the MLE Season 12 draft. As we're going underway, we are just waiting for confirmation to see what the next pick will be. And I got to say, just from the last pickup that we've seen coming from the Bears, getting Tai, I can only see this getting better as we go along. What a nice pickup they got from Tai. And I'm honestly excited just to see how the rest of this draft unfolds. I know everybody was waiting to see that one in the chat. Just the anticipation just coming up from Tai. It was just so nice. But guess what? The confirmation and the pick is in with the 16th pick of the MLE Season 12 draft. It's going to be Uber Nerd going to the Dodgers.
The Dodgers loved this pick because it's someone that they can pair well with Serial Killer. Uber Nerd will play both 2s and 3s, but seems to be more of a 2s main. Puts up a lot of saves per game, over 2 1/3 saves per game. That's exactly what you need, especially against teams that can shoot so well in Master League.
Yeah, and that's what the draft really is all about. It's not about getting the most insane player whatsoever. It's about putting players together who are able to play with each other well and who are able to bring the best out of their teammates. So that's what it's really about, putting team players together who have great synergy. But we have the next pick in the MLE Season 12 draft. The Foxes are going to choose Django's Got a Mango.
A great name, but also a great player. Has almost 0.9 assists per game during scrim so far this season. Puts up a good MVPR. Doesn't get the amount of goals per game that you would maybe see out of a bunch of other players, but they pass well, save well. This is the kind of player that you need with good rotations and will be a solid addition for this team.
Yeah, this is a very well-rounded player, and trust me, I know a thing or two. I know a thing or two about Django's Got a Mango, and let me tell you, Django's Got a Mango is a very well-rounded player. But moving on to the next pick in the MLE Season 12 draft, with the 18th pick, the Puffins choose Eurodin.
And Eurodin knows how to score over 2 goals a game during scrims, gets off a good amount of shots. This is a player that knows how to put the ball in the back of the net, and it's a solid pick.
Yeah, and again, this is still just early on. So a lot of these players, are going to be the ones that we've seen a lot around the community, not just, in MLE, but around the Rocket League community as well. Because don't forget, all these players have a presence outside of the league as well. But we're ready to move on with the 19th pick for the Masters League MLE Season 12 draft. The Express will choose Luke.
Luke, a 14 salary, but I'm sorry. I actually have his stats up, or a stats up for Luke from Champ League. I was looking at the wrong Luke. Luke underscore is a very good player as well. Has 1.6 goals per game in scrims, knows how to play the game well, passes well. This is a good all-around player that should play very well with Poobie.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at, the percentage-wise, for shots and goals per game, and Luke is pretty consistent on both 2s and 3s, but the next pick in the MLE Masters League draft will be a retention. So the number 20 pick will be a retention as we move on, looking forward to the 21st pick of the MLE Season 12 draft for the Masters League. But just going back to Luke for just a quick second, just also seeing their assists per games, I'm just now noticing, seeing them being able to pass the ball the way that they do and being able to find their teammates just makes them even that much more of a threat on the field for both 2s and 3s.
Yeah, and this Express team seems to be shaping up well, had 2 solid retentions also. So this Express team, very good start to the draft. Won't pick till round 3 again, but a good start for them. But we have our next pick in, and this pick is the Wizards, and it's one that a lot of people thought would go first, Akina.
Well, you see, that's the thing, though. I mean, it's probably a good thing that they didn't go first, because now the Wizards are going to be able to do a little magic here and claim Akina for themselves. Well done, because Akina with a 16.5 has a beautiful win percentage in 3s here with a 75 percentile. 3rd in the league for the win percentage in 3s. Well done indeed. And then, again, nothing to wave a stick at in 2s either. They're the number 10th spot for the MVPR rating.
For sure. Just a great all-around player that knows how to save and get goals. But our 22nd pick is a retention. That will be for the Sabres. Good retention for them. So up next, 23, will be the Hawks.
Yes, and with the 23rd pick of the Masters League MLE Season 12 draft, the Hawks pick Benjamin.
Benjamin, if you have been around leagues for a while, you know Benjamin, always playing Rocket League, always making an impact on the game. Scores, saves, even passes a little bit. It's a very good all-around player, and one that the Hawks are very thrilled to have in the mid-first round.
Yeah, and you know what I really love is just seeing that, again, we have one of those defensive-heavy players, but yet everybody knows and everybody's pretty much familiar with Benjamin. So they're definitely a threat to look out for, even if they're on, more of a defensive player. So it's, again, it's like just really interesting to see how this team will come together as they incorporate people of different play styles into one solid rotation. But with that being said, we're going to be moving forward now with the 24th pick of the Masters League MLE Season 12 draft. The Elite will choose Just Staying Alive.
And the Elite have a good player here. Just Staying Alive has been around the league for a while, knows how to play, and can do it all. And that's what the Elite are looking for, especially in the first season of Ray Finkel being FM there. He's looking for players that could just be solid pieces and then make the magic work from there. If you get enough solid pieces, you'll be able to build it up and have a complete team, and that's what he did a very good job of doing with this pick.
And it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward. But speaking of moving forward, we are moving on to the 25th pick of the Masters League MLE Season 12 draft. And the Shadow will choose Jackson RL.
Jackson's a player that has been around a couple leagues. I've seen him always around and knows how to make an impact. Jackson can do it all, really. You have more on him?
Well, yes, Jackson RL doing pretty well on the 2 side. Now, they prefer 2s, but doesn't mean they're going to be afraid to play some 3s. And with that being said, they are a PS4 player, which, shout out to the homies over there at Sony. We're seeing a pretty good PS4 player right here. They're taking some decent shots and they're putting on goals. So, they don't have the highest shot percentage, but they are showing a little consistency. And now when we're moving on forward to the 26th and 27th picks, they are both going to be retentions moving forward for both the 26th and the 27th pick of the MLE Masters League draft. So now we're waiting for the 28th pick for the next round. Well, not the next round, but for the next pick is going to be the 28th pick coming from the Knights, and they choose Makaram.
Makaram, a very solid player, has played a lot of scrims, way more than the 30 scrim points that this player needed in order to be eligible. So the MVPR, rests around a 5, gets a good amount of saves per game, can pass the ball really well, over 1 assist per game in their scrims. So a good all-around player, and the Knights are happy that Makaram fell this far.
I was about to say, you already know that I definitely love a good pass player. I say it a million times, and I'm going to say it a million more. I don't care how much you get tired of it. But the captain says that the best plays are pass plays, and the pass plays win the games. And that's just how it goes. And seeing that they are able to pick up a nice all-around pass player is just phenomenal, and it's going to work out really well for their roster. But going on forward with the 29th pick in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, the Spectre choose Hero.
Hero, and it's a solid Hero is a solid player, scores a lot, will play both 2s and 3s, not stuck to one mode or the other. So a very solid pick, only a 15.5 salary, so maybe a little lower salary than we would have expected, but plays well for his salary.
Exactly, and this is another one of those players that we could be calling a sleeper pick, because this player right here in 3s, which is going to be pivotal in the Season 12 season, is able to hold down the 9th spot in the league for saves. So again, could have been a sleeper pick, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to be disappointed with that one. But moving on with the 30th pick in the Season 12 Masters League Draft, the Wizards will choose Dom,
another 15.5. But the Wizards, they always know how to have good teams. We've seen it with both ALCL and now ML, 2 first-round picks for them. They're coming out firing in every single league.
Yeah, and the thing about Dom, when we're looking at them, they prefer 2s, and it's the 15.5 salary. This is the same thing we were talking about in the previous league during the draft, is you want to be careful with that salary cap. So you want to pick the players that have room to grow and can get better, and you can actually shape them and mold them into the perfect player for your roster. But I think we're getting ready to move on as we see that the 32nd pick in the draft was going to be a retention. But hold on and hold the phone for a second, because we have the Outlaws with the 31st pick of the MLE Season 12 draft, and they choose Alex.
Alex, a solid player, resting only about 500 in games right now, but has an impact way more than that. MVPR is high, is really good in net, knows how to make saves, so a solid pickup here.
Yep, and then like I said, we're talking about like these really breakthrough players here with a 16 salary cap. It's that in between the 15.5 and the 16.5s. It's not the highest salary that we've seen, but they have room to grow. They can be molded into the player that they need to be to best fill out this roster. And just looking at their stats already, this person prefers both playlists of the 3s and the 2s, but are doing just phenomenally in the 3v3 standard with a 58.33 win percentage.
For sure. So that marks the end of our first round. We will have our second round coming up in just a second. What were your thoughts of the first round?
I gotta say, I definitely love seeing some recognizable names, just because I fully love seeing players that I recognize and that I know and that I've actually had the pleasure to play with, or even cast their games, and seeing them like being able to like kind of change up their teams and change up their rotations in the roster. It's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to these new lineups.
For sure. And I know that you love casting, obviously, so I've seen you around all the time, and just seeing how these teams are starting to shape up. We see the Wizards get 2 picks. We saw the Dodgers get 2 picks. I'm sure that you're excited to see some of those combos just go out there and dominate.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like everybody else in the chat, we were excited to see Ty go to the Bears. Like that by itself was pretty nutter butters, if I have to say. But, just all these like amazing changes just that we see time and time again, because watch, again, we're seeing things that kind of like shape up from last season. We're seeing a good bit of retentions in this league so far. So, we're seeing players that are just like, no, I'm happy with my pick that we had last season. We're playing well. We don't need to change up. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, we are seeing a lot of change ups in rotations and rosters. So it's really interesting to see where we will be next season.
Oh, for sure. And, getting to select some players super early in the draft, because we saw a lot more retentions at the end from the playoff teams. And that makes sense. If you're a playoff team, you want to keep the guys you had. If you're not a playoff team, you may be willing to move on so you could get those higher picks. But as we move on, we're going to see less and less retentions. We only have 4 retentions in our second round. So let's get it started then, when we have our 33rd pick coming up in just a second here.
Yeah, and we already seen how crazy in the previous Champions League, how crazy, the second and third rounds can be for the draft. So now that we're in the Masters League, I honestly don't know what to expect going forward, but I am even that much more excited just to see how this will unfold as we move on to round 2 of the MLE Masters League Season 12 draft. And the Sabres will choose Roman.
Roman, what a player. Roman knows how to play, and Roman knows how to make a big impact. Has pretty good stats, but is definitely more of a threes player. Number 10 in MVPR in threes. So they have selected that they rather get the threes main out there and see what they can do.
Absolutely. Now that we, as MLE as like an organization is going to be including threes in the upcoming season, you're going to want some threes players that can hold it down. But not only that, but Roman was able to hold it down in twos as well with a 73.33 win percentile in the 2v2. But moving on with the 34th pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, the Wolves will choose Turkey.
And what a name. I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love this name, and I love this player as well. Has pretty good stats. Not above average, or not really above too much in this, but a great all-around player. They're not spectacular in either twos or threes, but is a player that you can put into any rotation and get a good performance out of them, and that's really what you need from your second rounders.
I just love the beautiful irony that, Turkey is playing for the Wolves when Wolves notoriously hunt turkeys. So that's fun to say right there off the bat. So at least we have that to look forward to. But speaking of looking forward to, let's look forward to the 35th pick in the Masters League Season 12 MLE Draft. The Lightning will choose Doomsucker.
And this is an absolute steal if you are a fan of goals. Doomsucker rates in the top 12 in goals in both twos and threes with our scrim data that we have. An absolute scorer on the field, and I have a feeling that they will continue to do it.
Yeah, and these are the players that you need, honestly. Like, we all talk about the players that go for the highlight reels and go for the big shot plays, but the fact of the matter is we need those players, and Doomsucker is going to fill that role perfectly well for that team, and I'm looking forward to it. But moving on now to the 36th pick in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, the Comets will steal Zeal.
And Azil, another very good player, prefers two, so we only have data on 2 scrims, but a solid player and knows how to play in net. 2.7 saves per game. That is incredible defense.
Yeah, and again, I've already said it, y'all already know, but I'm quite fond of the defensive players just because I myself am a defensive player, and seeing them in the MVP spot is really nice to see. So I look forward to seeing what Zeal can do into that lineup. But we're going to move forward now with the 37th pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, and the Dodgers will choose the W.
Yeah, very good pick from Dodgers. W, a very good player and knows how to play well. And this is a great trio that we've seen him draft, not even counting that they've retained 2 players as well, I believe. So a very, very good Dodgers lineup we have through the first round and a half.
I mean, honestly, with a name like W, how can you possibly go wrong? If you're going to go with anybody, you got to go with the W. It's just common knowledge, common sense, and they are a very impressive player despite having a very impressive name. We're just looking at the stats here for the 2v2s, and their MVPR rating is sitting at a nice 5, as well as their shots per game So once again, we have one of those players that are not shy to shoot the ball, which is what you need from a shooter, is someone who doesn't hesitate. But we're not going to hesitate to move on forward in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft with a 38 pick. It's going to be from the Bulls, Druplet Gaming.
Druplet Gaming is a player that I saw high on a lot of mock drafts, so seeing Druplet Gaming fall to the second round, pretty amazed, but an absolute steal in terms of what he's able to put out on there on the field. Plays both playlists, but really mains threes if you look at his stats, and good winning percentage, good MVPR, top 20 in that. This is a solid player, and I think a lot of teams would have loved to have this player.
Exactly, and that's essentially why it's a steal. But let's see if we get any more steals moving on forward with the 39th pick in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft. The Elite will choose Vital. I'm sorry, that's the Eclipse. The Eclipse will choose Vital.
Yeah, the Eclipse got a good player in Vital, and again, we've mentioned before how important defense is in games and how much we both love it, because I'm definitely a defensive player. Vital knows how to play in front of net, especially in threes, averages 2.25 saves per game in that. Great player and a good pickup here for the Eclipse.
And not just that, but they have an impressive win percentage over there on the 2v2 side as well, with a solid 70% win percentage in twos. But moving on to the 40th pick in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, the Spartans will choose Peas and Beans.
Both Peas and Beans, two players? No, it's just one player, and it's a good player at that. The Spartans get another defensive player. I can only talk so much about defense. I would go on and on and on, but I'm not going to make you suffer through that. Just a good player all around, and the Spartans they got lucky that this player dropped so far.
Not just that, not only are they dangerous with the saves, but they are also pretty dangerous with the shots. Being high up in that in the league for shots just shows that they are able to make that defense and turn it into some beautiful offense. So be on the lookout for Peas and Beans on the Spartans. But now, moving on to the 41st pick in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, it's the Sharks who will choose Blue Mars 2.
Blue Mars 2, a 15.5 salary. One thing to note, Blue Mars will only play threes, but did scrims and twos as well. So this player may be willing to play both when the season comes around, and I'm interested to see if this player can really play both, because if so, that would be a huge addition for the Sharks.
I don't know. And when you see that, you'd almost think, oh man, that's a shame, because Blue Mars 2 is going to be a pretty dominant threes player. So it's almost a shame to see them not play any twos. So hopefully we will get to see Blues Mars 2 play some twos in the MLE Season 12 as we move forward in the Masters League, as we get ready to move on to the 42nd pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft. Just waiting on confirmation, and there it is with the 42nd pick. It's the Tyrants who choose Foam.
And Foam plays both, but definitely better in threes. Puts up really good stats and everything and knows how to make saves. This is a player that knows what they're doing, and I'm excited to see how Foam plays with this Tyrants team.
And again, it's all about fitting into the rotation, synergizing with your teammates. And Foam, as we all know, is pretty adjustable and adaptable to almost any surface it lies on, including the surface of their newly founded team. But looking at that, they are consistent on threes and twos with an even 50% win on both twos and threes. And that consistency might be key for Foam. But we're going to be moving on now with the 43rd pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft. The Flames will choose Shadow.
And what can I not say about Shadow? This is a good player. Another playlist where we see selected threes only, but did a lot of two scrims and went over 500 in them. And for only a 15.5 salary, if Shadow's willing to play twos, another great pickup. But I'm not going to lie, I'm sad that Shadow did not go to the Shadow.
I know, wouldn't that just be like a good bit of serendipity, which is what we all love to see, a beautiful sense of serendipity. But Let's be a little bit serendipitous and move on to the next pick with the 45th pick in the MLE Season 12 Draft for the Masters League. The Tyrants will choose EXO.
And EXO is a very good player. Will play mainly has only played in 2 scrims, but prefers 3s actually. So we're unsure what he'll be like in 3s, but I have a feeling that EXO is going to be a very, very good player.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're seeing that, that pretty even score line coming out with a 50% win percentage in the 2s area. So again, they prefer 3s, but they are definitely capable of playing the 2s games, themselves. And even though they choose prefer, which doesn't mean only. So, we might see them playing a few games in the 2v2 as we move on into the 12th season of MLE. But going forward now with the next pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, the Blizzard will choose Hen.
We're seeing a lot of 15.5 salary players right now. We're just seeing a lot of them come off the board. And this is going to force some teams' hands that if a team took a lot of high salary players early, 16.5, 16s, it's really going to force their hand on who they could take when this draft comes to a close. Salary cap only is established by the top 5 players. So I'm interested to see whether we keep seeing a lot of 15.5s come off the board now, or whether we're going to start seeing some higher salaries or even some 15s go next. But Hen's a very solid player, and it's great pick.
Well, you see, that's the thing about when they pick these 15.5s, going into the second round. It's because these are the players that they see potential in. These are the players that they want to build a team around and let them come into their own and play that specific role that they need to play in order to fill out a really good roster. But we are going to be moving on to the next roster in the 46th pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft. The Bears are going to choose Judgmental.
And Judgmental's a really good player for this late in the draft. Another 15.5, but the Bears got an absolute winner here. Knows how to play 2s, really good at 3s as well, knows how to save the ball, knows how to shoot and pass. Great pickup.
And you see, that's really the combination that you want the most. Not only a player that can play offense and is able to shoot on point, but a player that can also pass the ball. Because it's great to have a shooter on your team, but if they're not, passing the ball around, if they're not sharing the sugar, getting their other teammates incorporated, then, you're really just coming off as a ball hog at that point. So, it's really good to see a teammate that can both shoot the ball as well as pass it. And now with the 47th pick of the draft, it looks like it's going to be a retention. So number 47, the 47th pick in the draft will be a retention as we're getting ready to move on to the 48th pick of the MLE draft. But before we do, I gotta ask, what is catching your eye so far with these picks?
Well, I've mentioned it already. Seeing the amount of low salary players come off the board, very surprising to me. We still have a decent amount of high salaries left, but not too many. There were a lot of 16.5s and 16s, but there weren't so many that you could only draft those. So we're seeing a lot of 16.5s and 16s off the board. There's a couple scattered left. So my question is, who gets them and how early do they go?
Now, you see, this next one is going to be a little bit interesting because I think I might have played with this player once or twice before, but I could be mistaken. But let's find out as we move on to the 48th pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft. The Lightning will choose Manatee.
And Manatee, a very solid player who has dominated his 3 scrims so far. If we're just going off his 3 scrims, should have been a first-round player because they know how to win, know how to score, know how to pass. This is a player that, seeing this far down, very good pickup for the Lightning.
And not only that, but, they prefer 2s, but they show out pretty well in the 3s area as well with a 62.50 win percentage. But moving on to the 49th pick in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft, the Foxes will choose Phoenix.
And Phoenix, a solid all-around player, both modes, will give contributions to this team in both of them. And that's what, you like to see it. As much as you would love a nice 3s player that could just dominate in that one mode, you love to see players that are willing to play both and can give you solid performances, and that's what Phoenix can do.
Yeah, you see, I think that's really what the Foxes were going for. They're like, who should we get? Who should we go with? Who can we go with to do what we need them to do? And they said, do we need offense? Do we need defense? And the Foxes just said, why not get you somebody that can do both? and they went and got Phoenix. So absolutely fantastic pick. But now we're going to be moving on to the 50th pick of the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft. The Puffins will choose Nitro.
The Puffins, a fan favorite franchise, and Nitro could be a fan favorite player. Knows how to play, another 15.5, but will play both modes and can make a real impact out there.
Yep, and it's really good to see. I'm not gonna lie, I love saying Nitro's name. Like, clearly, y'all know I got deep with that last one, right? Just because of Nitro, like, the explosive name goes along with the explosive player. We're seeing them with an impressive shots per game in the standard 3v3, even with the 15.5 salary, still showing up in a fantastic way. But going on into the 51st pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft, the Aviators will choose Jay Gourmet.
And Jay Gourmet, great name. I love the rhyme, but also a great player. Can really, really play well in twos. Is only 50% win percentage, but way better than that in the amount of stats you're putting up per game. And with the right teammates, I think you could really unleash a beast with this player.
Absolutely. And again, that's exactly what we're talking about. You know, picking these like kind of lower salary players because there are salary caps in, you know, minor league esports. So you want to pick people that have room to grow and become even better players. But moving on, the 52nd pick will be a retention. So we're going to be moving on to the 53rd pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft. But we are waiting on confirmation coming in on this next pick. It should be a shocker here as we're getting ready to move on with the confirmation. And we have it right here with the 53rd pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft. The Rhinos choose Electro ZX.
And a great pick to pair with ISO. Electro knows how to play the game of Rocket League, and we could see that. Is absolutely dominating in 3 scrims. You look at his 3 scrim stats, over a 4 MVPR, which ranks 7th, scoring 1.5 goals per game, which ranks 4th. How did this player not be taken sooner?
And I feel like we're going to be asking that question to ourselves more and more as we move along to the 54th pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft. The Wizards will pick up Kyren.
And Kyren, we've only seen 2 stats from this player, but this is a player that prefers 3s. And the 2 stats are still amazing. 29 and 7 in scrims so far. Again, I'm just shocked that these 2 players that we've had, our last 2 picks, fell so far, because this, from the stats I'm looking at right now, this is a top 15 player.
And I rest assured to anybody that is looking at Kyren on the board, do not do what I almost did and almost called them Karen. That would have been a rip and a half. It is the one and only Kyren. And again, like you were saying, absolutely impressive with the 80.56% win percentage for Kyren is absolutely nothing short of impressive. Well done, and a beautiful pickup there this late in round 2. Like I was saying, we're seeing to ourselves and asking ourselves, how have these players not been picked up already? But these are the steal picks. These are the sleeper picks that we're seeing come out again and again and again as we move on. We are just simply waiting now for the confirmation of the 55 pick. Could be another steal, could be another sleeper pick, but there is only one way to find out. We just need confirmation now as we get ready to see the next pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft. And let's see, waiting on confirmation now. And there it is with the 55th pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft. The Flames will choose green.
Green doesn't really go with the Flames colors too well, but another solid player that we're seeing will play both modes, and a good pickup to go with this Flames team.
Yeah, just looking at them stat-wise right now, you know, they definitely prefer 3s, but they are pretty good at 2s. Like, I'm so surprised seeing. It's really funny when you see players that prefer a certain game mode, but they play fairly well in the other game mode as well, just showing how well-rounded of a player that they actually are. And it's just really funny to see how that works when they say, oh, well, I prefer 3s. Well, too bad. We want you to play 2s. You're too good not to play this game mode. But we're going to be moving on with the 56th pick of the MLE Master League Draft. And the Elite will choose Delo. I hope I pronounced that right.
I hope so too, because just like you, I also have no clue. Decent all-around player, will play both modes, will be on West, so will the servers be an issue? Who knows? But a good player in general, wins about 50% of their games in scrims, and this is a kind of player that the Elite needed, because they only retained one player in the offseason, so a really big pickup.
Yep, that's going to be a clutch pick for them, and another clutch pick will be underway as we move on to the 57th pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft. The Shadow will choose Biscuit.
And someone I drafted in AL wanted the name Biscuit when they came into the league, and the league said no because we already had a Biscuit, and this is the Biscuit who it is, 10-2 in 2 scrims, 5th in win percentage, has a great MVPR, great all-around player in 2s. We need that performance in 3s as well, but not too bad of a 3s player either. A great pickup here for the Shadow.
And again, like you were saying, they're phenomenal in 2s, and we want to see more of them for 3s, but they actually prefer 3s. Even with an 83.33 percentile win percentage in 2s, they prefer the 3s. So when technically when they're playing 2s, this is no lip biscuit. They're actually pretty good at playing the game, and I gotta say, even with the saves, with a 2.42 percentage in saves for 2s, I can only imagine that they can be that good in 3s as well. But with the 58th and 59th picks being retentions, we're going to be moving on now to the 60th pick in the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft.
Yeah, and before we get to that, I just want to say great job of Zach and Privilege Pair being retained. They are both great players. But at number 60, we have, for the Knights, Syrup.
There we go. Yeah, I was about to say, I just went over 58 and 59 retention. But yeah, Zach and Privilege Pair, definitely. But now Syrup being picked up by the Knights, doing fantastic on 3s and 2s. Rather, they prefer 2s, but they have a higher win percentage in 3s. We're seeing a lot of that tonight. And just again, this is another defensive heavy player, and they're playing fantastically in the net, but which is also makes them a double threat because a lot of those saves turn into fast break plays down the field. A nice pickup there.
For sure, and this is the kind of pickup that you want if you are the Knights. The Knights have found they've done great at finding talent all afternoon long, and this is no exception. But it looks like we have our next pick almost ready to go here, just waiting on Sleegy to give us the confirmation that we are good to go. And that pick, 61 to the Spectre, Blaster RL.
Nice. See, that's going to be a good pickup for the Spectre right there. Seeing that this player prefers 2s and for good reason. They had the 66.67 win percentage in 2s, but also doing fairly well as their MVPR rating is pretty high, going on nearly a 5 even at a 4.96, but also doing pretty well with goals per game. So we're seeing a pretty well-rounded and balanced player there. A very nice pickup coming from the Spectre on that one.
For sure, and looking at their passing game, they're averaging across the 2 modes 1.2 assists per game. A great passer is going to make this Hawks team fly.
Yes, that was a Blaster actually got picked up by the Spectre.
Oh, Spectre, I'm sorry. I am sorry. The Hawks are up next. I got ahead of myself. And I guess that happens. Say,
you flew too close to the sun there on that one, Hawk.
You are not wrong.
We're going with the Hawks, who have the 62nd pick. Spoiler alert, the 62nd pick will go to the Hawks. And with that 62nd pick of the MLE Master League Season 12 Draft, the Hawks will choose Vandy.
Vandy, a great player, but one thing sticks out to me. It's how good of a passer Vandy is. 1.67 assists per game in 2s. Great job, but has mainly done 3 scrims. Puts up decent stats in that. Puts up about average stats. So a good player that you're going to get in this round too.
Yep, I guess you can call them Handy Vandy because they are just coming in absolutely clutch. When we're looking at the amount of assists, they are 3rd in the league for assists in the 2v2. If that's not being a handy teammate, I don't know what is. That's the kind of person that I want on my team. Someone that's going to pass me the ball so that way we can get some goals and also include everybody. Let's pass the ball around. I'm looking for some good things from Vandy, but I'm also going to be looking for good things in this next pick as we move on to the 63rd pick in the MLE Masters League Season 12 Draft. The Outlaws will choose Solo Man.
And Solo Man, another one of these cases where they prefer one playlist but have better stats than the other. Solo Man prefers 2s, but his 3 stats are amazing. Nothing ranks above 100. Most of his ranks are coming actually in the top 30 or 40. 3.3 MVPR in 3, scoring 1.17 goals. This is a good player that can play both, and a great pickup by the Outlaws.
And I'm honestly surprised that they don't have a higher salary. Like when we're seeing stat lines like this, we're seeing, mostly like the 16.5s, but they're settling at a 16. So this could have been like a really big steal pick here, because I think this player, Solomon, might have been a little bit underrated if you ask me. But let's take a look at their win percentage with a 62.50 in standard 3v3, 21st in the league for 3v3. And moving on into season 12, as we're adapting to the 3v3 style as well here at MLE, we're going to want some heavy threes players like that, going into the next season. So this could have been a definite steal for, it could have been a definite steal for the Outlaws on this last pick.
Oh, for sure. Up last, we have the Sharks. We're just waiting on confirmation in order to say that this pick is, the Jets. I am messing up bad. Still not as bad as you messing up me for Maple, but I'm still, it happens. It happens to the best of us. But yeah, the Jets are making their final pick. We've gone through the second round really fast, and I'm just excited to see it end, and we could get on to the third.
I'm not excited to see it end. Like, I'm actually having a good time. Like, this is pretty fun. But I mean, but I get what you're saying though. I am excited to see it end, just to see how the third round will go on as we move forward even further into the draft. But we're awaiting once again on confirmation coming from the Jets on this next pick, which will be the 60th pick in the minor league esports in the MLE Season 12 Masters League Draft. We don't have confirmation yet, but we are still waiting on, I think we finally have confirmation with the 64th pick of the MLE Master League Draft. The Jets will choose Lacked Shark 9.
A great player, and I think this player was worth all the suspense that we just built up there. Scoring a goal a game in 3s, but also putting up great stats in 2s. Has over a 5 MVPR in 2s, which is better than where he was drafted based on his rank. So a very solid player here, and now we are finally done with round 2.
Yep, now that round 2 is done, I gotta say there has been a whole lot of hoopla going on in round 2, and it was nothing short of entertaining. Absolutely fun to see these players come and go, the mishaps from the casters at the desk to the utter suspense of that last pick coming from Lacked Shark 9. You know what they say, you save the best for last, and I think we might have. They have some impressive stats that we were looking at, and a pretty well-rounded player at that. They are 8th in saves for the 2v2, and that's pretty impressive with 2.64 saves per game. So Lacked Shark could definitely be the savior that the Jets will be looking for going on to season 12 of MLE.
For sure. And as we move on to round 3, do you have any storylines of what you want to see happen? I mean, we've seen a lot of 15-5s go off the boards. There's not many 16s and 16-5s left, which is why we're in the situation that we're in. But there still is some, we're all allowed 16-5s, but there are some 16s still on the board. Do you think they get taken early, or do you think that they're going to fall and we kind of continue our pattern?
You see, that's really tough to say, because you do want to snag these 16s, but now that all the 16-5s are gone, you got to watch that salary cap. So you don't want to go too far over, you're just going to, it's not going to be allowed. So you're going to really have to watch on how you balance your team. So I'm thinking maybe some of those teams that picked those 15-5s a little early are now going to come in clutch to pick up the 16s in the last round, because they have that little extra room in order to fill out their roster.
For sure. So we are going to get round 3 underway any second now. I know I'm excited to see my express pick again. I had no express picks in the second round there. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm excited to see all the teams get back to drafting again, get their final players before they worry about the race to free agency, which is a really new situation we have in the league this year.
Yeah, and honestly, you've seen a lot of free agents, so it's like going to be really interesting to see how the fight for free agents go. But as we are finally moving on to the first pick of round number 3 of the MLE Master League Season 12 draft, with the 65th pick, the Aviators choose Tropical.
Well, they can kick back and relax because this is a great pick for the Aviators. The Aviators knew exactly what they wanted coming into this. They got Climax with the number 1 overall pick, and this one is just as good. Tropical will pair very well with Broski Jazz and even Grant CFO when Grant eventually gets up to ML, which I have a huge feeling will happen again.
Yeah, I was about to say, my dude Grant, the co-caster in command, definitely knows how to pick a good team. But we're going to be moving on to the 66th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League draft. And the Wolves will choose Spooks.
And I don't know about you, but by looking at these stats, unbelievable. Spooks fell this far, has an over 60% winning percentage in both 2s and 3s, is in the top 10 of goals, assists, and shots per game in his 3 scrims. And that's a solid, they has 22 games of 3. So it's a very big pool of games. And to have that good of stats in 22 is very impressive. So Spooks, a very great pick here for the Wolves.
And not just that, but having impressive stats like that and being a 15-5 salary is going to fill out your roster nicely, because that is just a clutch pickup right there. So it's a really good pickup for them. But we're going to see another pickup moving forward. Let's see how good it will be as we have the 67th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. The Sharks are going to choose the Mr. P.
The Mr. P, a very good player who is going to main 3s, and for good reason. Didn't do too great in his 2 scrims that he did, but the 3 scrims, 60% winning percentage. Is very good in shooting, passing. He could do it all, and I'm excited to see how Mr. P could go out there and help this Sharks team.
And you see, that's another thing that you really have to be looking out for are these 3s players, because they're going to be even that much more important as we move on into the season, because we've already seen some players that'll be like, oh, I only want to play 3s only, or I only want to be 2s only. So it's really important now to make sure that you're stacking your team efficiently for the game modes that they specify. And with that, we're going to be moving on to the 68th pick of the Minor League Esports Season 12 Master League Draft. The Comets choose Blagden.
Blagden, another player that would rather play 3s, but plays 3s very well. Solid passer in the 3s game, over 0.6 assists per game, and that's a very, very good number, but can also score in 2s. Knows how to put the ball in the back of the net and will help this Comets team fly.
Yeah, absolutely. No shame in this person's game whatsoever. With a 15-5 salary, able to hold 50% win percentage in the standard 3v3, but also getting a little bit of work done over there on the 2 side. Nothing to be ashamed of over there, with a nice goals per game percentage. Nearly scoring 2 goals per game. No problems there. But we're going to be moving on to the next pick, which will be the 69th pick, the one you've all been waiting for, of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. The Lightning will choose Enigma.
Enigma's a very good player. I'm still laughing about what you just said. It's the one everyone's been waiting for. Assist and saves, could do it in 3s, and we're seeing a lot of 3s players go off the board right now, which is something we're not used to in MLE. MLE was a 2s league for the past 11 seasons. Season 12, addition of 3s, and we're seeing a lot of 3s players come off the board in that late 2nd, early 3rd round, and Enigma's no different, but knows how to play 3s very well, and I'm excited to see him on the pitch.
Yeah, especially, being that they are definitely a high shot taker, with the 5.33 percentile in shots. So I'm looking forward to seeing them get them boards and get them goals as they go into Season 12. But now, moving on with the 70th pick in the Minor League Esports Masters League Season 12 draft, the Bulls will choose Skylar.
Skylar, a great player and plays both modes very well. Makes a big impact in twos, having almost a 5 MVPR, and knows how to save the ball as well. Over 2.3 saves per game in twos, 1.3 in threes, which that's a big difference, but you have an extra player, you're going to get less saves than probably your other teammates than you would in twos. But it's a great all-around defensive player here, but also knows how to score as well.
Exactly. It's one of those well-rounded players that, that we love to see. So it's definitely a good pickup from them as we move forward. But now let's see if we can get another good pickup as we move on to the 71st pick of the Minor League Esports Season 12 Master League Draft. The Eclipse will choose silence.
Nah, I'm kidding. And a great pick. Get it? Silence? I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm so sorry. Anyways, great player that knows how to play threes very well. Another all-around player, just like we saw with the pick before. Can do it all out there, and this is a player that is really going to help the Eclipse take their game to the next level.
And not only that, but they're one of those players that are in the 15-5 range that have room to grow, but have impressive stats. This is a player that you can build on with the 55.5% win percentage in twos. And again, just holding it down with the shots and goals per game and carrying that over into threes as well. They are definitely a consistent player, and consistency is so important in these leagues that they need to be built upon when you get these players. It's so important. It can fill out perfectly for anyone's roster. But we're going to see how the next round will fill out their roster as we get pick number 72 in Minor League Esports Masters League Season 12. The Spartans will choose Flushi.
And Flushi has really good stats for only being a 15 salary. This is a player that was in Champ League and has moved up to Master. So we can't just go off the stats in front of us because that's why they're really inflated. But even in Master is competing at a decent level right now. Decent MVPR and a good all-around player that I just can't wait to see continue.
And it's an important thing that you pointed out is that we can't just go all on, the stats. However, the stats just help give us an idea on what we can expect, going forward. So again, we can't rely all on the stats, but it just gives us an idea of what kind of player they will be and how they will fit into their new teams. But going on into the 73rd pick of the Minor League Esports Season 12 Master League Draft, the Lightning will choose Rage Burner.
And Rage Burner is a great player, knows how to play the game really well. Trying to pull up the stats right here for Rage Burner, but solid player, has a 4.7 MVPR. Has played a good amount of twos games, but has also played some threes, so I'm excited to see how that translates, and knows how to play in front of net too, averaging 1.8 saves per game in twos.
And moving on now in the 74th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Draft for Season 12, the Tyrants are going to go from Ashy the Classy. It's Classy Ashy!
And I love the rhyming in the name. Great pick for the Tyrants, getting a player like this that just loves the game, prefers twos, a 15-5 salary, and will work on his craft and get better with the Tyrants. The Tyrants have had a really good draft, I believe, so far.
Yes, indeed. And with a 50% win percentile in twos, they are no player to wave a stick at. I am looking forward to how they fill out that roster. But now, moving on with the 75th pick of the MLE Season 12 Master League Draft, the Hive will choose J-Tips.
And this is a 16 salary that we've been waiting a while to hear his name, because only played in 4 different scrims, but in his 12 games in those 4 scrims, an 83.3 winning percentage. Very good. Gets a good amount of saves per game at 2.1. This is a player that is worth the 16 salary. And while it might have dropped a little more than we expected, a great steal here for the Hive.
And that's the most important steals, are the ones that show up late into the draft. It's the ones that nobody expects. So you get to have a really good player to snag so late in the draft, and it makes the wait all the more worth it. So good pickup with J-Tips there. But let's see if we can get another good pickup this late in the draft as we move forward with the 76th pick in the Minor League Esports Masters League Season 12 Draft. The Tyrants will choose Void.
And Void is a threes player, and you can see why. 20th in shots per game, 69th in MVPR, 33rd in goals per game. A great player that just knows how to play threes really well, and these are the kind of players that you can expect to build a team around.
Yeah, and let's take a look more at Void real quick as before we move on. Like, still, they're playing phenomenally. Even though they prefer threes, they do it fairly well. They're almost they're doing pretty good as far as the shots on target are concerned, because they're making the goals. So you can have a high shot count, but as long as your goals are at least within 50%, you're doing fairly well, and that's exactly what Void has been pulling off. So kudos to them, and again, could be a crucial snag this late in the draft.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And I believe we are moving on to our next pick. Sorry, it caught out on me. Oh, we are waiting for confirmation on our next pick. But the Blizzard pick next at 77, and I don't know who they're going to pick.
Yeah, that is a good question on who are they going to pick as we move on to the 77th pick of the Minor League Esports Season 12 Master League Draft. We now have confirmation the Blizzards will choose exactly it's who.
Oh, I guess I did know who they were going to pick. Good pick here. A threes player that knows how to play the game really well. 24 games that we get to go off of for these stats, but in those stats, nothing worse than above a 70th in those stats compared to the rest of the league. 36th in assists per game, 38th in MVPR. Just a great threes player. And again, we're seeing these players that are maining one specific mode that are going later in the draft. And we're seeing how good one great league can make you and why those teams want you.
Especially now when we're moving forward, towards the later half of the draft. We're going to be moving on to the 78th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. The Bears will choose Janos.
Yeah, Giannis, a great player here and a great person as well. This is the kind of personality that you want on your team. And I know that the Bears are very happy to get this player.
I mean, who wouldn't be happy with somebody like Janos? I'm sorry, I said Janos. Mispronunciation there, Janos. Because this is one consistent player. We're looking at a 59.26 win percentage in twos, and then a 59.18 win percentage in threes. That's consistency across the board. You can't ask for a more consistent win percentage than that. Nearly 60% in both game modes, and that's what you need. A player that is able to adapt to the situations around them. Good late pickup for the Bears. And we will be moving on now to the 79th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. The Pirates will get Lettuce.
Previously known as Little Lettuce, Lettuce is branched out and wants to show that he's no little guy. He's a big guy and knows how to play Rocket League well. 5th in winning percentage in his 2 scrims, 3rd in saves per game. I'm not sure why this player fell so far, but a great player indeed and a solid pickup.
Yes, with a 15.5 salary, this can be easily called as a sleeper pick because I have seen Lettuce play, and I gotta say, watching Lettuce play makes me want to eat my greens. This guy is strong. This is a strong player with that. Again, just referencing that 83.33 win percentage, like you said, 5th in the scrims, and not only that, but 3rd in saves. We're looking at a 3.11 in saves, average 3.11 saves per game. That is insane. Being able to hold down 2 top 5 spots in 2 different categories in the scrims, that I think was definitely a sleeper pick and probably a steal this late in the draft.
Absolutely right. We are waiting on the Ducks to make their pick, and we have a lot to still look at here because the Ducks are a solid team and they've built a solid lineup for themselves so far. I was trying to look up their roster. The sheet was down for a second. It's back up. They only have 2 players, so they really need this player. They did choose someone last minute, and that player with the 80th pick will be, I don't even know how to say that.
I do.
Chance?
Chance. I think it's supposed to be Chance.
Chance. That's about right.
If I was a gambling man, I'd be betting on Chance. But let's take a look at how they are. They prefer 2s, and it's understandably so. So let's check out how we have here with the with the win percentage that they have of 44.44. Thank you for blessing my OCD. 4s across the board for the win percentage, and then a 4.18 MVPR rating. So that is actually pretty nice there, and they do have a pretty good shot to goal ratio. So that, again, a nice pickup, going late in the draft.
Yeah, and a great in saves per game as well, 11th in saves per game. So this is a player that seems to be more defensive, and the Ducks are relying that the two picks that they had, Swattings and Luck, paired with this defensive player is going to go very well, and you need those pairings to always be a good contender.
And I gotta say, for the Ducks, I've waited so long for us to do threes, just from watching minor league doubles for so long. And now we have the Ducks, and now that we have 3 players, they might be able to finally pull off the flying V formation from the Mighty Ducks. I want to see it. We have 3 players now for the Ducks. Let's see the flying V.
Yeah, flying V. I'm excited for the Ducks, but we have next pick that is in, just making sure Sleeky's good to go. He is, and the Foxes will be taking Peytonelli.
And that is another player I definitely recognize. Peytonelli, again, surprised they've gone this so far in the draft. A pretty solid player all around, doing fantastic on the save side for the 2v2 with a 55.56 win percentage, averaging 2.33 saves per game. And then not only that, but coming up clutch in the assist as well. 14th in the league for their assist. So a pretty well-rounded player and not a greedy one, which is good to see.
Absolutely. And the Puffins are next on the clock at 82. And with that selection, they're taking Spanky.
Well, I gotta say, I'm not too familiar with Spanky. Is there anything you can give us some highlights on? I could see already they have a pretty solid win percentage, but hopefully you know a little bit more about Spanky than I do.
I know absolutely nothing about Spanky, but this is still a solid player that can score, that can pass, that can do it all, and it's a decent all-around player at this stage in the draft.
And now notice this is, again, one of those players that prefers to play threes with a 15.5 salary. And this is kind of what we were talking about going into round number 3. We're going to see a lot more of these 15.5s and, being picked up, because a lot of those other teams picked those 16.5s and the 16s really early. So now we're seeing these clutch players come in at the last minute. And this one is somebody that prefers threes but can also play 2s as well. But we're going to be moving on to the 83rd pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. And the Express will choose Flash.
Yeah, and I love this pick. I love my Express, so I'm going to trust Rushy and my franchise manager Kopex on this pick. Flash, very solid player in the 2s game, can score, has a good MVPR, can make saves, good all-around player. A 15 sal, will only play 2s, but they feel like this is a player that they could help build their team with.
And I'm really surprised that they only have a 15 salary. I was really expecting Flash to have a higher salary than that. But again, that could just be another sleeper pick late into the draft. But now we're ready to move on with the 84th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. The Demolitions will choose Chop.
And what a player. I love the name, but very good in 3s placements, has played. It's their preferred mode, and in the games that they have played in that mode, they showed why they prefer it. Just a very good MVPR that ranks 25th. Assists per game is 18th. This is a 3s player that can really help the Demolition.
Yeah, and I really like it, and I hope to see some demolitions coming from the Demolition. Like, I want to see some bump plays, especially in 3s. Now that we got an extra player on the field, I expect to see a little bit more physical play, some more bumps, some more demos, and hopefully we can see that in the standard 3v3. And let's hope that this new player, that this chop that they bring to the roster, will be enough to chop the defense. So I'm definitely excited to see what this player can bring to that roster.
Well, based on the stats we just read, Chop will be able to chop the defense. The Rhinos may have the next pick. We are just waiting on their selection to continue with the draft. We only have 12 more picks left to go in the Master League draft. It's been a long day, but we are slowly working our way through it.
Yeah, it's been a long day indeed, but I gotta say the wait is well worth it, as we're constantly getting new information in, and with that, I think we're about to get confirmation on the 85th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League draft for Season 12, the Rhinos will choose T-Man.
T-Man, a very good player, can play both 2s and 3s, a 15.5 salary. I've seen this guy around, and boy, he knows how to play Rocket League well.
And that's no surprise because I'm pretty familiar with T-Man RL. At least I think I am. That name stands out to me, and it's like in the back of my brain burned in that I think I've seen them around before. So it's going to be really exciting to see how they fill out that roster moving on into Season 12 to make even more of an impression. But we're going to be moving on with the 86th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Draft for Season 12. The Sabres have chosen Messi.
Not Ronaldo, but Messi. And this guy actually from Hawaii. How crazy is that? I don't think we have any Hawaiians in MLE, but this is one of them. Knows how to play 3s well. 15 sal, and still getting used to Master League, and on console actually. But I have a feeling that as the season goes on, this player can really progress and become a very good addition.
And with that, we're going to be saying aloha to the next pick of the MLE Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 Draft. The Hawks will choose the Ross Effect.
Ross Effect, a solid player. I believe this is one that did rank up from Champ League to Master League. So you know that this player has the ability to compete in Master League. They just got to get used to it. And we're going to see that a lot here in the third round. We're going to see some very low 15 sals come up that just need the time to adjust, get used to it, and will really make a difference as the season goes on.
Yeah, and you love to see it too. You love to see players rise up through the ranks of MLE, you know, just seeing how much they can progress from one season to the next. So I think I love it the most when players that we've seen in previous leagues really work their way and they work hard to get into like the upper leagues. And it's really nice to see. So congratulations to the Ross Effect for making it into the draft. And again, a solid win percentage, 66.67 in 2s and 62.50 in 3s. But we're going to be moving on now to the next pick, which will be the 88th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 Draft. The Elite will choose HC Mutiny.
And I love the name, and I love how good of a defensive player HC Mutiny is. 2.78 saves per game in 2s. That's good enough for 4th in Master League. That is an unbelievable stat. So this is a player that we're going to see play more defense, and the Elite are banking on this defense to really come up big for them later on.
And it will come up big indeed. But let's see with the next pick how big the come up will be as the 89th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 Draft. The Shadow will choose Sir Pride.
And I believe Sir Pride was another player who ranked out of CL and has gone up to ML. I believe, don't quote me on that. But Sir Pride, a solid player. I know Sir Pride from a different league. And this player knows how to play Rocket League well, not afraid of anything. So I'm excited to see how he can adjust to Master League and go out and try to kick some other teams' butts right away.
Let's see how good that butt kicking has been going so far. And it has been doing pretty well. Prefers 3s, and with a 15 salary, has managed a 70% win percentage, 13th out of all. Just truly impressive, especially if it is true that they came up from CL to the Master League. Gotta say, that is definitely a player that I want to be looking out for as we move on to Season 12. But let's move on to the 90th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 Draft. The Pandas will choose Myzair.
Yeah, Myzair, a very solid player indeed, and 15 salary Master League, not one that has recently come up, but still can hold their own in 3s. They sport a 50% win percentage in 3s. We haven't seen the stats come out from this player yet, but again, as they get used to it, as they get used to playing with these faster players and seeing how they can progress, I'm really excited to see Myzair come up and play well.
And I am definitely ready to see the next pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 Draft. The Hurricanes will choose Golden Gomez.
Golden Gomez has really good 3 stats so far, but I know this player personally, a great personality. And let me tell you, the Hurricanes are getting a great personality with that. They're going to absolutely love having this player because not only can he make a difference in threes and also be a solid addition in twos, but the personality is really going to make this player shine when push comes to shove.
Absolutely. And when you see these players that can be built upon with a 15 salary, you can really groom them to be the players that they need to be. Like, this is why we have these drafts, and that's why that's why MLE is really so special, because we really take players and, you know, we put them in the community to where they can even get to points where they didn't see themselves being able to reach otherwise. It's a really great place to learn and to grow. And hopefully one day Golden Gomez will have the Midas touch. But let's see how we will progress as we move on into the 92nd pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. The Rhinos will choose 4 Tricks.
And 4 Tricks has a preference for threes, and you can see why, in 87.5 winning percentage in that. Now, you have to remember, only 8 games, but still puts up solid stats along with that. 14th in goals, 32nd in MVPR, 28th in shots per game. This is an offensive tight end when it comes to the threes game.
And now, moving on forward once again to the 93rd pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft, the Spectre have chosen Dunzo Magunzo.
And Dunzo almost was Dunzo when it came to this draft. Only 4 picks left, but was able to get picked up at the last minute. Very solid in threes, going 11-5, 12th in goals per game. Needs some improvement in twos, but overall a great all-around player that is really, really, really going to make their mark on Master League. I have a feeling.
More than a feeling that we're going to be moving on to the 94th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 draft. The Hive will choose Wubby.
I love the name, first off. Wubby, it just flows off the tongue. But Wubby is a defensive tight end, 15th in saves per game in twos, 3rd in saves per game in threes. And Wubby just knows how to play the game of Rocket League really well, because he's not just a defensive player, can hold his own in passing, can score at a decent rate. I'm excited to see how what Wubby can bring to this Hive team.
And I gotta say, Wubby, you are certainly impressive with a 15 salary, coming up with the 2.25 saves per game, being 3rd for saves in those respective scrims. I gotta say, that is very, very impressive. Wubby, you would make anybody a proud hubby. Way to go, good for you. But we're gonna be waiting for the next pick, which will be the 95th pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Draft for Season 12. We are just waiting on confirmation as the time ticks right on down, and I think we are about to have confirmation here shortly for the next pick of the Minor League Esports Master League Season 12 Draft. Dun dun dun. If only I can get a drum roll for this, because that would make it even that much more intense as we constantly get the build up here. But we're still waiting on confirmation for this 95th pick. It's just been going on for so long. Like, we're getting so late into the evening already, you know, and it's been quite a long day. But I got to say, while we wait, what pick is standing out for you in round 3?
Definitely this 95th pick that just came in. With the 95th pick, the Outlaws have selected Sergeant Barbecue.
And what a fantastic, flavorful name. But look at the flavor coming in on the win percentage in the 3v3 mode with 75% win percentage for Sergeant Barbecue with a 15.5 salary. Again, another, I think that's a sleeper pick. I think so. This late in the game, I think I am comfortable in saying that is definitely a sleeper pick.
Yeah, definitely a sleeper pick, but we move on to what people call Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick in the draft. The Jets have that pick. It is confirmed, and with the 96th pick, it is Melonhead.
And Melonhead, quite the pickup, looking at the consistency that they have. With only a 15 salary, definitely shows a lot of room for improvement and room to grow. So last, but definitely not least, Melonhead is going to be joining the Jets as the last pick of the 3rd round and for the Master League Draft.
And that's all she wrote. The Master League draft is over. This is your third round picks that we have for this season's draft. However, if you didn't get drafted, don't worry about it. Free agency is going to be a frenzy. So keep going to tryouts. You will. I'm almost going to guarantee you. I won't guarantee it, but you guys should be getting free agency offers as long as you're going to tryouts and making yourself known. So keep going to tryouts. There are still ways to be picked up, but we have Premier League up next. The ones that I have a lot of questions for about what's going to happen there. It's going to be a fun time.
Yes, indeed. We're fitting to see the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, the best of the best in the Premier League coming up next. But that will be it for me, as we will get you a new set of hosts and casters coming up next to take off where we have left off. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you all here today. Thank you for everybody at MLE for having me, but don't you go anywhere, because we have more of the Minor League Esports Season 12 draft coming up next.